We are your station of choice, the People's Station, ZiFM Stereo.
And it's Messi! It is the cleanest of clean finishes from the best on the planet.
It's time for the biggest sports stories.
Liverpool, the champions of Europe, are top of the world.
The biggest interviews.
That such a great spectacle is ruined by such thuggish behavior.
And all the analysis right here.
He's the one player that has the arrogance to think that he can play in any stadium in the world and any pitch in the world in front of any player in the world and take them on.
Every weekday, it's my sport, it's your sport. It's ZiFM Sport. Let's join the team for the biggest show in the world of sport on ZiFM Stereo. My station, your station.
Every Tuesday evening, we speed it up a little here on your favorite sports show because our staple is here, proudly brought to you by Zimoko, the Formula One report. And today, we'll be taking a look at some of the latest developments in Formula One, who say that they will introduce shorter Saturday races at 3 events this year in a new format called sprint qualifying after the concept was given the green light. Our team is here to talk us through that story and give you the detail and the information you need to know on that latest development. That team is Barry Manandi, Alois Bunjira, Chris Midzio, producer Sean Teferinika, and my name is Mike Madoda. But before we get there, we'll have some news out of the home front, but with an East African flavor. And the news is that Warrior striker Prince Dube is scintillating form in the Tanzanian league, where he tops the scorers chart with 12 goals, has reportedly caught the interest of Tanzanian champions Simba Sports Club, who play in the CAF Champions League.
We're also going to take you around the world in 60, starting off in Wales, where the Six Nations champions have confirmed they will host the world champions South Africa, New Zealand, Australia and Fiji in their autumn test series. In India, batsman Chris Lynn has asked the Australian Cricket Board to arrange a charter plane to bring players home at the end of the Indian Premier League as India battles a surge in coronavirus cases. And then in Japan, hundreds of Japanese towns and cities are being forced to rethink their plans to host Olympic teams because the coronavirus will prevent public appearances and require costly safety measures.
We'll take our play of the day is Top Hit Tuesday. Then we dive into the beautiful game where the very dapper AC Milan manager Stefano Pioli has warned his side against feeling sorry for themselves following their 3-0 defeat at Lazio, saying he expects the Rossoneri to show a strong response after dropping out of the top 4. Being a Tuesday, we'll also head to France, where Burak Yilmaz scored twice and set up another as Lille staged a brilliant comeback to claim a thrilling 3-2 victory against title rivals Lyon as they reclaim top spot in Ligue 1 from reigning champions Paris Saint-Germain. And Thomas Tuchel believes Chelsea can overcome a lack of UEFA Champions League semi-final experience by playing with hunger and enthusiasm when they go up against Real Madrid tonight.
The Warriors, the Chevrons, the Cheetahs, the Mighty Warriors, and the Sables. From the pool to the track to the field, we are Team Zimbabwe. The Home Front. Local sports news and analysis.
Right, Warrior striker Prince Dube, scintillating form in the Tanzanian league, where he tops the scorers chart with 12 goals, has reportedly caught the interest of champions Simba Sports Club. Dube struck an 86th minute wonder goal against Young Africans over the weekend to power Azam to a 1-0 win. And after the match, the striker was swamped by journalists who asked him about the interest coming from Simba. Dube responded by reiterating that he's an Azam player who's focused on helping his teammates win matches. Now, we caught up with Prince Dube's former junior coach, Melusi Mabaleka Sibanda, who talked to us about Dube's come up and why he is good enough to play in Europe.
I first thing is the discipline. Very disciplined player. Because I think it was 2016. They were in Division 2 and he came to Warenda's first team trials. They say he's not fit for the first team. I told him that Mafana, just come to Division 2 and play for Division 2. We promote you at the end of the year. He said, coach, no, I have to go to the Premier League. I said, no, just relax and wait for me. Then I trained. Then it was January, June. They start talking to Prince. You are a good striker. You are a good striker. Then at the end of the season, they came to me and said, Coach, thanks. I said, what? He said, I'm ready now. But I told you that just wait. The turn is coming. Prince is going far. He's going far, far, far. I told him that you are not supposed to play in Tanzania. You are supposed to play in Europe.
That is Prince Dube's former juniors coach Melusi Mabaleka Sibanda speaking there and declaring that you are going far, 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 far. And when you take a look at Prince Dube and what he's done out in Tanzania, he's actually missed a big chunk of the season because of an injury which he actually sustained when he was playing young Africans in the first round of fixtures. And he bounced back quite appropriately to score the winning goal against them in this round of fixtures. Alois, Prince Dube is a player that you like so much, mainly because I think he reminds you of yourself.
Yeah, he is a very intelligent striker. I like him, like you say, a lot because I've watched him play. I started liking him way before he even got popular, when he started playing for Highlanders. All I saw when I first watched him was the way he moves in the box. I know you guys, I'm a big fan of strikers that make intelligent runs in the box. So the way he moved convinced me that this boy is quite good. Then he started scoring the goals. That was actually what I needed to see, because once you start moving, it means you're creating goals. Now you've got the technique to actually tag them in, then you're complete. So coincidentally, we were talking about Chris with Barry outside off air, and I was actually saying the same thing that his former coach said. I said, this boy is supposed to be playing in Europe. All he needs is a chance to land in Europe. Once he is in there, if he gets a lucky break to get into Europe, he's gonna be a superstar, because what he has got, Tino has got. They are similar players for me. If Tino can make it in France, Prince can also go and make it in France. So they are similar players that have got the same abilities, and they can do the same similar things. So I've got a feeling that once he lands in Europe, he's going to be a success.
Chris, Alois is talking about the fact that he reckons that Prince Dube's talents are probably suited for Europe. But what is the problem then with players like Prince Dube, with players like Kama Billiot, who show bags of potential, have got the talent, and we all say that these players, I think Willard Katsande was one, at the peak of his career when he was at Kaizer Chiefs, is one player you looked at, had all the physical attributes to go and make a fist of it in Europe, and yet he never got to Europe. And that is the danger, isn't it, with players like Prince Dube, where we'll talk about them having all this potential to play in Europe, but they don't get there. Is there something wrong with maybe our agency, the players, or the people who are representing our players?
100%. I think when you're now looking at your more developed leagues, like European leagues, it's tougher to break into there. And in order to break into there, you need to have an agent who's first of all got the relationships. You need to have those contacts. You need an agent who is thinking long term as well. Someone who's not trying to make the next buck off you and not thinking about the longevity of your career, what is best for your career. So I think in terms of how we do business, in terms of our agents, in terms of how our players select their agents, I think there's a lot of work that needs to be done there if we're going to be seeing more Zimbabwean players, first of all, get to Europe, but also do well in Europe as well. Because again, it's about how that agent sets you up to succeed.
I want to add on to that the fact that Mike there is by the way, I met Otis Gorema earlier. He says he can't tell you and I apart. So he says every time you speak you have to identify the other. So I'm going to say I'm addressing Mike now, so this is Barry Otis. But you see, yes, agents, but I also believe there's a role there for the federation to play, because I think bilateral relations between federations helps. And what am I talking about here? You look at the relationships that the Ivorian associations, Cameroon, Nigeria, have fostered in Europe. Those have assisted to create a pathway for players to get into the French league and to get into Switzerland and to into not necessarily the big five leagues, but certainly get into Europe. Once you're in Europe, then your agent can then kick in and your management structure can then make sure that you then get into the big five leagues. So I feel that perhaps ZiFM has left a lot and devolved a lot to the individual without actually creating a platform off which our players can go. I mean, we can even go back as far as Nengo Masha. He should have played in Europe.
Yeah, he should have played in Europe, and those were absolutely talented guys. And Alois, I want to come to you now, and let's again go back to Prince Dube and take a look at what he's doing. The interest from Simba Sports Club, would you describe that as a step in the right direction for him to swap from Azam to go to Simba? Would you take a look, first of all, at Simba's progress on the continent, especially this season? They finished quite comfortably ahead of Al Ahly in their group. They're in the quarterfinals of the CAF Champions League. They are playing some really good football. Is that a step in the right direction to say, okay, maybe not the immediate jump into Europe, maybe get into a side that is assured of playing CAF Champions League football and then take it from there?
Yeah, Mike, is one step, even if it's a small step, I think it's still good enough because it's the one step going ahead. Because when you look at Simba, they are in the Champions League, they are competing there, and all of a sudden they are now a popular club in Africa. They did what nobody expected them to do, to beat Al Ahly to the top to the top spot. So automatically attention is drawn to Simba. They want to know the players that are playing for that team. That's what agents do. They usually look at the teams. I'm talking about independent agents, not Prince Dube's agents. There are some agents that just do scouting. They just go to Africa to scout for talent. So what they do is they look at the popular club. What are they doing? Who are the players? Who are the driving players? Who are the driving forces? That's what they do. They can actually then pick up. So it's a chance for Prince Dube to actually play for that team and show what he can do. He has got the chances to do. But like Barry and Chris said, you need the relationships. We need agents. We need our association with the relationship so that you can recommend a player like what Charles Msauri had with the Belgian league.
Yes.
Just to throw them in, whether it's Division 4, Division 3, that's how Owner Company went, Sebastian Medza, Brian Baza, drop them in there. Yeah. Once they're in there, they are in a window where they can actually be seen. We don't have those relationships at the moment. I'm trying to think about any kind of relationship like that in Zimbabwe. We've got this new Zilch. So I think Prince Dube is actually better off where he is right now. Go to Simba, he can actually get a better path to Europe.
Yeah, and possibly maybe even move to one of the North African giants first and then maybe make his way into Europe. Now, Prince Dube has got 12 goals and 6 assists in the league for third placed Azam. He is the league's top goal scorer despite having missed at least 8 matches for Azam. Just shows you how much he has been dominant as an attacker. And the guy who's chasing him is 1 goal behind, and that is of course Akahere, who plays for Simba Sports Club. But you've got to say that form is with Prince Dube, and he is likely to see it out and end up as the Golden Boot winner in Tanzania. This is ZiFM Sport on a Tuesday, Top Hit Tuesday. A bit later on, we've got the Zimoko Formula 1 report. Big changes coming up to qualification in Formula 1. Stay tuned to find out what is what and which is which from our petrol head in the studio, Barry Manandi. But before he gives us the lowdown from Formula 1, he's going to give us a local sports news roundup. We've got cricket news, golf, as well as motorsport.
Hi, my name is Sean Williams, Zimbabwe cricket captain. You're listening to ZiFM Sport.
Z.
So why don't we start with motorsports? It's what's called the resident petrolhead. Zimbabwe motocross star Tanya Muzinda is riding on the crest of a wave in the United States after she captured 2 podium finishes over the weekend. Her latest successes came in the 8th round of the Bartow Championship Series. 2 weeks after another impressive showing in the 125cc class, the 16-year-old dirt bike rider once again gave a good account of herself. Muzinda relocated to the United States in 2019 in her bid to race consistently with world-acclaimed riders. Let's move on to cricket news, where Chevron's coach Lauchand Rajput believes his men's positive show in the T20 International Series against Pakistan has provided a good platform to launch their quest to qualify for the ICC Men's T20 World Cup. Zimbabwe lost the series 2-1. However, the Indian coach was impressed by his team's future prospects following impressive performances from a group of young players settling into the team. Rajput singled out Wesley Madevere, Tarisai Musaganda, Luke Jongwe, Tadiwa Nashe Marumani, Richard Ngarava, and Blessing Mzarabane among his future stars. We'll wrap it up with golf news, where the Zimbabwe Golf Association, the ZGA, has established a clear golf development model to harness talent nationwide as part of its ongoing efforts to grow the sport while demystifying the elite tag after successfully hosting the Julius Robinson and Wingate Trophy tournament in Harare over the weekend. The ZGA has taken a deliberate stance to focus more on developing junior golfers. The move is anticipated to yield positive results and help the country produce another Nick Price.
From the front of the grid to the back of the net, it's ZiFM Sport. International Sports News Roundup, where the world comes out to play. From sunny Melbourne to the streets of Monaco, the deserts of Bahrain to the jungles of Brazil, get up to speed on the Formula One report.
Let's get into our Formula One report proper, where Formula One will introduce shorter Saturday races at 3 events this year in a new format called sprint qualifying. After the concept was given the green light, the new races will run to 100 kilometers, and the result of a sprint race will decide the grid for Sunday's main event, as well as offering a small number of points for the top 3 finishers. Formula One pundit George Azaria believes sprint qualifying is mainly for entertainment.
We'll just have to wait and see how these tests go and find out then whether or not it's worth implementing into the sport at large. Should really only benefit those drivers that have better race pace than they do qualifying pace, so your Lance Strolls, your Carlos Sainzes, that kind of person, and should only really negatively affect drivers like Valtteri Bottas, George Russell and Charles Leclerc, who have way better qualifying pace than they do race pace. But it shouldn't make that much of a difference anyway. I'm pretty sure that this is only being implemented from an entertainment point of view rather than a sporting point of view. Sprint races, as the name suggests, implies that there is no mandatory pit stop. If this goes through, I would like to see F1 implement a 2-stop minimum in the Grand Prix, which could be achieved by just mandating all 3 compounds of tyre be used.
Well, Chris, George Azaria there, sort of crystallizing it to being a function of trying to bring entertainment to Formula One. And in truth, when you look at the new format as it's described, it certainly points to that, doesn't it?
Yeah, it definitely does. I mean, if you're a little bit confused about the concept, try to think about it like T20 cricket.
Right.
Shorter format, a little bit different pace as well. And it also, obviously, you get the points as well for those top 3 positions in terms of this, the sprint qualifying. You'll be able to then get those points as well for the top 3. So it's for entertainment purposes, but essentially what it's going to do is just add points for Red Bull and Mercedes.
Yeah, like T20 cricket is rubbish.
It's rubbish.
Absolutely rubbish.
I know you hate T20 cricket, but when I look at this description, and you can talk us through some of the points of the changes that will come through in the sprint qualifying. When I look at those changes, you sort of get the feeling that it doesn't destroy the element of racing, but what it does is that it adds to the excitement and possibly even to a small degree levels out the playing field.
I'm going to leave the fine points to you, Barry, because I really can't be bothered about this latest development, because I've got 2 things that I want to bring up. First of all, the fact that it's not adding anything from a sporting point of view. This is really just entertainment. But we've already seen Formula One, the first 2 races of this season 2021. They've provided tons of entertainment without any adjustment to qualifying or anything.
Right.
We have seen some really great races. And then secondly, I am against rule changes in the middle of the season.
Right.
Because then that for me is a problem. If you're going to introduce something like this, okay, if you should, then it should have been discussed and it should have been finalized in the off-season.
Sure.
And then it should have been started with race 1, and it goes all the way through to the last race of the season, so that we have got consistency in terms of the races and the Grand Prix throughout the season. You can't have different qualifying conditions and rules for one Grand Prix, and yet you're giving the same amount of points for the different races. There's just something that's a bit off for me. So if you're going to have rule changes, let them be implemented at the the start of the season so that we've got a consistent competition throughout the year, just from a sporting perspective.
And a number of Formula One fans across social media are actually iterating what Mike is saying. A lot of fans are not seeing this work out in the long term. This seems like something that will be an experiment this season and probably not carried through to any other season. Another thing to look at is potentially this is Formula One's way of trying to make some additional income off for Formula One.
Yes, perhaps. I also have a suspicion that this discussion started possibly last season, where for the past few seasons you got to admit that the entertainment factor was dying in Formula One, and that was as a result of the dominance of Mercedes. So how do you then try and bring viewers and eyeballs back to racing?
We had enough of an off season for you to bash your heads together and finalize this thing, and they should have implemented this ahead of the opening race in Bahrain. That's what they should have done, okay? So I'm not a big fan of it, but if they were going to implement it, it should have been at the start of the season. Okay, let's just have consistency in qualifying, whether it's Bahrain, whether it's Imola, whether it's in Japan, whether it's out in Brazil. It must be the same.
It's a trial, though, Mikey. They're having a look-see.
It distorts the competition. That's why, for example, in football, when they're talking about
it's a live test.
Some of the changes that they're talking about, where are they implementing them? And right now, the new offside rule that they're trying to work on, the Arsene Wenger offside rule, is being implemented in China, and they're implementing it in under 18 competitions because there's not much at stake at under 18 level. You can't implement something like that and trial it in the English Premier League. There's too much riding in terms of money and in terms of corporate dollars in that level of sport for you to be experimenting. And what happens if it doesn't work and you don't like it?
Then you can it. What are we talking about? Well, in essence, sprint qualifying will be a race lasting around 25 to 30 minutes. Friday morning practice will run as normal, but the usual Saturday afternoon qualifying session will be held on Friday instead. Park Firm, which is where teams make changes to their vehicles, is going to be limited to Friday's qualifying session so that teams don't build their cars for the specific qualifying. And then, of course, tyre use will be restricted across the weekend compared to a normal Grand Prix. Those are some of the changes that will come about as sprint qualifying. I want to see how it goes. I'm sitting on the fence slightly, but let's see how it all goes.
This is the traditionalist in football. This man was so against change.
He hated the Super League.
Yes. Hated the Super League, hated VAR, hated goal line technology, but now in Formula One, let's see how he goes. Oh, come on.
Hi, you're listening to ZiFM Sport. My name's Graham Sharp, and I'm the first Zimbabwean to take on the Dakar Rally in a bike.
Around the world in 60 seconds. International sports news.
We take off in Wales, where the Six Nations champions have confirmed they will host world champion South Africa, New Zealand, Australia and Fiji in their autumn test series. The All Blacks, making their first visit to Cardiff since 2017, kick off the series at the Principality Stadium on the 30th of October and will offer Wayne Pivett's squad a stern test as Wales seek a first win in the fixture since 1953. Wales will then take on the Springboks the following weekend on the 6th of November in a repeat of the 2019 World Cup semi-final in Japan before a game against Fiji on the 14th of November. We'll head over to India, where batsman Chris Lynn has asked the Australian Cricket Board to arrange a charter plane to bring players home at the end of the Indian Premier League as the country battles a surge in coronavirus cases. 3 Australian cricketers have already cut short their IPL season to head home, but a number of the country's top players remain, including Steve Smith, David Warner and Pat Cummins. Yesterday, Cricket Australia contacted Australia's IPL players inquiring about their health and travel plans, with Lynn responding by making the request. Mike, you're making a face.
Yeah, listen, I'd love to think that he means well, but the fact that he's talking about send the plane after the tournament, after we've made the money and we've banked our checks, listen, it's all about the money at the end of the day. It's not about health, it's not about safety. He wants to make his money first, and then only after we're done, send the plane.
100%.
Yeah, why not send it now?
They're not done. Give money back. They need to get the full pay packet.
That's it.
And we'll touch down in Japan, where towns and cities are being forced to rethink their plans to host Olympic teams because the coronavirus will prevent public appearances and require costly safety measures. The western town of Okuizumo spent more than $5 million preparing to welcome India's hockey team for a pre-games training camp, only to scrap the visit because of COVID-19. After sinking money into upgrading sports facilities, Okuizumo recoiled when it became clear that they would have to provide bubble-like biosecurity measures with regular virus tests and medical care.
ZiFM Stereo is untouchable.
The big leagues, the big teams, the big players. The beautiful game on ZiFM Sport. The Nerazzurri, the Black and Blues, Inter Milan.
It's Romelu Lukaku, and it was never in doubt. He's a beast at the best of times, but this season he has become a monster.
The Giallorossi, the Yellow and Reds, AS Roma.
Belotti has a go! Tremendous hits! That's what he's capable of.
La Viola, the Purple Ones, Fiorentina.
Brock Ribery seals a glorious win for Fiorentina with a sumptuous goal at San Siro.
The Bianconeri, the Black and Whites, Juventus.
Ronaldo seals yet another 3 points for Juventus.
Tough yet colourful. The best of Italian football on Z.
Right now, AC Milan manager Stefano Pioli, Babano Cena. He is a very
decent player in his time as well.
Very decent player, yeah. He loves that black polo neck and all sorts. Anyway, we're not talking about his dress sense. We're talking about his managerial ability. He's warned his side against feeling sorry for themselves after their 3-0 defeat at Lazio last night. The Rossoneri boss says he expects his side to show a strong response to dropping out of the top 4 following the defeat. Alois, would you say AC Milan, yes, last night's result, but I'm going to put it in a macrocosm of the entire season. They started off well, just like most young sides do, and then when it called for the experience and the cool heads of seeing the campaign out, that's where they came short. Hopefully they've learned something through the season.
Yeah, hopefully, Betty. But like you said, that they started well, and this is a team that I love, you know, and we were expectant. You know, when they started well, we actually thought that they were going somewhere. You know, it's actually disappointing that they actually fell off the wagon towards the end of the season, where we expected for at least to qualify for the Chamions League. That's the best way for these younger players to actually grow, to get into this competition, play in the Champions League, get tougher in there. So it's a step that has been missed, but hopefully, like you say, they've learned something. So we hope that they have, you know, instead of stuttering and then next season they get worse. So now we don't know what to expect next season.
Can I just give you one simple answer, guys?
Sure.
Zlatan Ibrahimovic.
Okay.
That's the reason why they are now falling short.
Yeah.
And people look at me with a bit of incredulity and say, but this is exactly the same pattern that happened at Manchester United,
yes,
where Zlatan starts off like a house on fire, and then the business end of the season goes cold. It's not a function of not having ability. This is now just a reflection of his age and where he is now. He just can't give 100% all season. He's not at the level of Lukaku, just in terms of his physical conditioning. He's not a young man anymore, and so his physical output has been dropping, and as a result, AC Milan have been struggling to score goals. He started off at house when we were talking about AC Milan potentially winning the league.
Yeah.
What was the one thing that was there? Zlatan was scoring. Now that Zlatan is not scoring, the team is not winning. Have they learned anything from this season? You asked Alois.
Yeah.
I don't think so, because a couple of days ago they announced that they've given Zlatan a new contract.
Yes.
And so for me, that worries me. If you are going to build your attack on Zlatan Ibrahimovic, you just need to take a look at science. What is the data? What is the data telling you for this season? It's telling you that Zlatan Ibrahimovic's performances petered out, and when his performances dropped, our output also dropped. So they should be looking at investing in a younger striker, someone who's going to come through, give the team a bit of impetus. And it was funny that I read an article on Allegri, Max Allegri, first season. The season that Ronaldo joined, and Alois is not like this. Allegri went up to the board and he said, get rid of Ronaldo.
Right.
That was his first thing. Say, get rid of him. Because yes, he might give us goals, but he's stifling the development of young attackers and young players, because we're having to build the team around him.
And everything needs to go through Ronaldo.
Ibrahimovic, the same thing. Everything in attack for AC Milan has to be channeled through a player who's now nudging 40.
Yeah, nudging 40, he's 39. So, Chris, is it as simple as all that? Is it as simple as AC Milan needing to just have another way? Yes, fine, give him another year on his contract, but get someone else who can then finish the job, a finisher in inverted commas, who can then pick up when the old man when his legs are gone. Is it as simple as all that?
I don't think it's as simple as all that, but I think it's not necessarily about having the individual striker. I think the over-reliance on one striker, in this case, it's made even worse because he's advanced in age, but you'd rather have a team that is composed of various people who can have a spread of goals. You'd rather spread that risk instead of that over-reliance on an individual player, and then you're like AC Milan, where they started well and now they are stop.
Guys, they're not relying on him. They are relying on age, because even his alternative, who's the alternative at AC Milan? Mandzukic,
yeah.
He's another one who's old. So they're relying on old players. They've got multiple options, but they are old options. You see, get a young pair of legs in attack.
You can actually see the difference in coaches. When you look at Pep, he started preparing for Aguero exit. Already, you could actually tell that he can look at his age. He's already planning. He's saying, okay, Aguero, you can go and finish off your career somewhere else. Aguero will get a good contract somewhere else. He's going to get a very big contract somewhere else.
But Pep maybe was even already
putting in. Yes, he can because they'll take him. Kind of philosophy, they'll take him. But he has already been preparing Jesus to actually take over, because he knows Jesus is going to give him 5 more years to come, and he'll be respected.
And guys, this is to take nothing away from Lazio last night. Joaquin Correa scoring twice and Ciro Immobile adding a late third for Lazio.
Two young attackers.
And just to clarify, Mike is not an ageist. He is just pointing out the very obvious.
Energy. That's what you need. Take a look at Lukaku. What does he give Inter Milan? He gives Inter Milan energy. He's able to run. He chases after balls. Balls are played over the top. He can chase them. He's not a box striker. He chases everything. He works hard. Take a look even at Alvaro Morata at Juventus. He's trying. There's energy there. I don't try as Uno. Same thing with Correa. Those guys they've got energy. What is okay? Even if we go to Spain, I know we're going to go to Spain maybe sometime. But Suarez.
Yes.
He's slowed down. It's not a function of lacking ability. It's age. He just doesn't have the conditioning to carry the team.
You remember that was the problem I had with Real Madrid when they did that to Jovic. I thought that they were going to grow him into a very potent striker. He had the potential. They didn't manage him very well.
Yeah, wasn't managed very well. In the other game last night in Italy, Napoli climbed above Juventus into 4th place with a 2-0 win at relegation threat in Torino, thanks to early goals from Timu Bakayoko and Victor Osimhen. And the log standings looking like this: Inter at the top, Atalanta in 2nd, Napoli in 3rd, Juventus are in 4th position, while AC Milan are now in 5th.
Horsepower unmatched. Torque to beat the best. Speed unrivaled. Sleek and easy on the eye. Let's get behind the wheel of football engineered to perfection. The Bundesliga, made in Germany.
The big news out of Germany is that Bayern Munich have appointed Julian Nagelsmann as the next manager after reaching a compensation agreement with RB Leipzig. Nagelsmann, who's just 33 years old, is considered one of the best young managers in the game and has signed a deal with the Bundesliga champions through to 2026. So I think
young manager, Michael.
A young manager. 33 years. Listen, I don't think many people will say, "Oh, I didn't see this coming." I think this is the logical progression of what has been a fantastic career. Julian Nagelsmann has earned his right to manage Bayern Munich, hasn't he, Alois?
Yeah, never mind about the urge, but you look back what he has done already in his short career, you can actually agree that, this is where he was headed to. A lot of people were talking about Klopp going to Bayern Munich. I never thought
Why
that
would you leave Liverpool for Bayern Munich?
Yes, I never thought that was going to happen. But when you look around at all the German coaches that were there, Nagelsmann was the perfect choice.
Yeah.
And I'm sure,
and even in terms of style, Alois,
yeah, exactly.
He brings a style that the Bayern Munich fans will love and appreciate.
Yeah. He goes to a team that is going to play the way he wants it, and now he has got better quality to the way he wants to play. He's going to do well, definitely.
He says he's going to do well, but I have seen the story somewhere. I've seen this story somewhere. Andre Villas-Boas.
Yes.
Exactly same scenario. Bright young spark, good manager. We all say that he was on the cusp of greatness. All he needed was a big break at a big club. It came. Chelsea gave him the job, and then it unraveled. Julian Nagelsmann, for you, what are the things, Barry, that he needs to be mindful of when he's at Bayern Munich?
What he'll need to be mindful of is trying the patience of the Bayern Munich executive. We know that the Bayern Munich executive, when the natives of Bayern Munich, the ultras, get uncomfortable with the manager, he gets sacked very, very quickly. So I think that he needs to hit the ground running, make sure that he doesn't change too much of what Hansi Flick was doing, but in fact builds upon it, because Hansi Flick has a fantastic model going over there. Yeah, sure, get the defense a little bit stronger. We've got Alaba going out. The replacement is going to be key, so the recruitment there has got to be good. If he gets that recruitment good, I foresee a very different scenario to AVB.
Well, Nagelsmann is set to replace Hansi Flick, who asked Bayern to release him from his contract 2 years before its expiry date earlier in the month, following a rift with Sporting executive Hassan Salihamidzic, who of course is a former player over the Bundesliga champions. Transfer strategy and philosophy. What money on Hansi Flick becoming the new manager of Germany? Sean?
All my money.
What are the chances?
All the money.
All the money.
Even money. There's
Even
no
money. There are no odds there.
There's no odds there.
Neymar, Mbappe, Depay, and now Tino Kadewere. Enjoy the taste of the French football on a ZiFM Sport.
Let's take you into France now, where Burak Yilmaz scored twice and set up another as Lille staged a brilliant comeback to claim a thrilling 3-2 victory against title rivals Lyon as they reclaimed their top spot in Ligue 1 from reigning champions Paris Saint-Germain. Having gone 2-0 down after 35 minutes, it looked as if Lille's unlikely title bid was fading, but they reacted in sublime fashion, scoring 3 times against the hosts. Alois, it's been a little bit of time since we've seen this much activity, this much competition in Ligue 1. It's exciting, and Lille, if they can continue to play on this path, they may just be able to retain this title.
Yeah, I think they showed character, when they came from behind to actually beat Lyon, in a game that I thought that also the match officials were not in their favor. So I think they've got the guts, they've got the character to actually do it. So hopefully that they're gonna make it, and because I'm a fan of change. I don't like a team that keeps on winning championship after championship after championship. So PSG, they've been the top club in France. But when Lille came in now, they look like they might just grab the championship from them.
Mike, what do you think accounts for this, the closeness, the competition at the moment? Because previous seasons, Paris Saint-Germain runs away with it. But this season, Lille's on top with 73 points, PSG second, 72 points, AS Monaco third with 71, Lyon in fourth with 67. These teams are really close together, and it's not usually like this.
COVID-19. It's a simple answer because COVID-19 has meant that some of the smaller teams have got a distinct advantage in that they're going to play matches without pressure. There isn't fan pressure, there isn't any intimidation. Places that were really difficult to go to, like St. Mames, the home Athletic Bilbao, Anfield, for example, in England, which is a really difficult place for any visitor visiting team. You remove the fans, then all of a sudden it's really brought down to a training match. And so it's benefited some of the smaller sides. And believe me, next season with the fans back in stadium, believe me that the situation is going to turn around again. And those teams that we thought had made progress, some of them are going to slip down to where their normal position, where they actually belong. And so forth. Because take a look at how Bayern Munich has struggled a bit. Juventus has struggled a bit. Liverpool has been absolutely terrible. You just take a look at some of the big, Manchester United, inconsistent.
Bayern even had a wobble in the middle there.
So I think COVID-19 for me. But Lille has got winnable fixtures.
They've got winnable fixtures, definitely. Yeah. And they need to be able to take this opportunity because it's likely not coming again.
Yes, in a long time.
Yes. We've got two players out in France. One of them, Tino Kadewere, he actually started from the bench in that match and featured for 15 minutes for Lyon. And manager for Lille, Christophe Gauthier, said he performed like a locomotive in these type of matches. These are the players who make the difference. Another player, Marshall Munetsi, he missed Stade de Reims' 3-1 loss against Marseille through injury. The midfielder had been included in the matchday squad but withdrew and watched from the stands because of tendinitis.
ZiFM stereo is untouchable.
Right now, Thomas Tuchel believes Chelsea can overcome a lack of Champions League semi-final experience by playing with hunger and enthusiasm when they go up against Real Madrid. Fighting talk from Tuchel, but experience is everything in this competition. We know that.
I know, yeah, it is. And Real Madrid are experienced, they are winners, in this. They might be doing badly in Spanish La Liga, but they always do well in the Champions League. But my heart just feels for Tuchel. I want him to do well. I hope he does.
Thomas Tuchel has a strange way, Chris, of getting the job done. Where he needs a victory, he seems to get it. He's going up against a formidable foe in Zinedine Zidane because he's exactly the same.
He's exactly the same, but what we've seen from Chelsea is sometimes they do stutter, especially in these big matches. If you take a look at Real Madrid, though, they're the complete opposite. They're able to grind out a result where they need to, and that's where that experience kicks in for them, where Chelsea are not necessarily... they don't have the same amount of experience as Real Madrid.
We've got two contrasting midfields. Usually in games like this, the midfielders win the game. You've got one midfield, Real Madrid, that's aging, old, experienced, but still old. And then you got energy on the other blue half, which is Chelsea. Which one wins the day?
It's going to be difficult, to be honest. I don't know how to call this one, but I'm interested in the performances of Mason Mount. Yes. He's a player who's come on in leaps and bounds. I was very skeptical about him at the start. I didn't feel that he deserved or he merited a place in the Chelsea side. I thought, it was Lampard, the old Brits club.
Right. Yeah.
But he has shown that he is worthy of his starting place. He's a quality player, and I want to see how he performs against that experienced Real Madrid midfield of Casemiro, of Toni Kroos, of Luka Modric. Those are the players who are at the very pinnacle of European football when it comes to midfield. So, because I think another one who will be watching is Southgate, because he wants to see, can I count on Mason Mount come the Euros? Can he be a consistent player for England? If he's able to perform against Real Madrid, he'll be someone he can lean on and count on come the Euros.
How does this one end, Michael?
I'm going to go with Real Madrid.
Real Madrid, give me a score.
I'm going to go with a draw. I'm going to go 1-1. Two defensive teams with not many goals in them. I'm going to go 1-1.
Alois?
Mike, you're going with Real Madrid for a draw?
No, I changed my mind. But I'm going with Real Madrid to qualify.
Yes.
Over 2 legs, I'll go with Real Madrid. But this game, I have a feeling it might be a 1-0 draw.
I'm going with Chelsea here. They're going to get a very valuable away goal, 1-1 for me, and they're going to qualify.
So you agree with me? 1-1?
Wow. Yeah, 1-1.
Chelsea,
they're going to qualify.
Chelsea though for the final. Chris?
A Real Madrid to qualify. I think for this match, we will probably see a draw, like Mike said.
Wow, you're
the prophet has spoken.
Here's the deal.
I
think ultimately Chelsea will qualify, but tonight Real Madrid will win 2-1. I have said it, and therefore it is law. We'll catch you tomorrow. May God richly bless you. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Manande, out.